Resilience is the ability to embrace your vulnerability, to move through the process of letting that which needs to end, and finding a way to create what needs to be new. Today we're going to be talking about something that's very, very topical in the times of COVID, pandemic, change, and that is resilience. It doesn't matter where you turn, there is an article around resilience, there's a topic around resilience, there's a course around resilience. Resilience is fast becoming something that us as human beings are exaggerating into something that is really important for us. And when I say exaggerating, I don't mean that in a negative way, I just mean it's starting to become very prevalent. And so we're going to talk today about what resilience is, what is healthy resilience, what is unhealthy resilience, and how we go about doing it. Resilience is an emotional intelligence skill. It is not a personality trait. It is not something some people have and others don't. It is a skill that you can learn. It is something that has a mental component, an attitude, a way of thinking in the world. It is the ability to use your emotions as information to access the truth of what's going on for you. And it's a decision-making process to find ways to navigate through life. And so it is a skill that can be learned and something that we can all harness. Resilience at the heart of it is the ability to deal with chaos, the ability to deal with setbacks, to face a world that doesn't work in alignment with the way you expect it to, and to find resources to deal with it. It is fundamental for working in the world at the moment, because it is true to say we don't know what's coming, we don't know what's happening. Yeah? On a small scale and a large scale, we're living in a world that is full of complexity, full of chaos and full of change. The ability to deal with life as it is at the heart of being resilient. Most of our stress comes from fighting reality, thinking it shouldn't be the way it is. So resilience is a stress management tool. So let's talk about what resilience is not, as a way of helping us illustrate what it could be and what it is. Resilience is not about avoidance. It's not about putting our head in the sand and pretending something isn't going on. Resilience is about facing our fears. It is about facing complexity. It is about facing disappointment, loss, heartbreak, anger. It is about dealing with our bank account, with our work stresses, with our conflicts. When we avoid it, that does not embrace a resilient spirit. Resilience is not about being strong. One of the toxic positive statements that we have in the world is that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Well, at the heart of it, that may be true. But being able to be strong all the time is not what resilience looks like. Resilience is the ability to embrace your vulnerability, to move through the process of letting that which needs to end, and finding a way to create what needs to be new in your life. Resilience is not about coping or dealing with things. It is about being truthful about what it feels like and what is going on for you, and finding options and ideas for navigating through things. So it's not about holding on. At the heart of resilience, we have the process of releasing what needs to end, as I said, so that something new can begin. Resilience is not about independence. Actually, the most resilient people are the ones that are able to access resources around them, and I'll talk more about that now. Turn to colleagues, friends, therapists, coaches, healers, ask for support. Resilience is about community. Resilience is about co-creation. Resilience is about leaning on others, allowing others to support you when you don't have the ability to do it yourself. Resilience is not about control. And for this, there's a beautiful story. Eric, my partner, talks about years and years and years ago, he went and did an advanced driving course. And in that advanced driving course, he was taught that when you go into a skid, you go into the skid. You must turn the steering wheel to go with it, which is counterintuitive. The part of us that wants to fix things, be in control, wants to turn back. And of course, 20 years later, he found himself in a skid. And through the hijack of his fears, he didn't listen to the wisdom of knowing that he needed to go into the skid and tried to turn it back. Because resilience is counterintuitive. It's surrendering control. It's going with what is happening and trusting ourselves to work with that. There are so many ways that we can look at this. I said earlier, our stress is directly linked to how much we resist reality. The ability to accept and embrace reality as it is, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, whether you agree with it or not, is the starting point to resilience. Resilience is not about persevering. A really, really difficult way of us talking about resilience is embracing what do we need to give up on? What is it that no longer serves? Now, typically in our world, we're taught not to give up. Now, I'm not talking about giving up when you go to the cupboard like my son does and open and go, I can't find the sugar. Yeah? We haven't even tried anything here. I'm talking about giving up when you've knocked on the same door 100 times and it doesn't open. I'm talking about giving up on something that is not working for you anymore. My life is the way it is now because I gave up a career that by all intents and purposes looked like it was serving me well, but at the heart of it was destroying me. To give up that level of stability, to embrace a path of joy, was a path I needed to walk. Now, that doesn't mean everybody who needs to be resilient needs to give up a job, but sometimes we need to give up an identity, give up a relationship, give up an illusion. I know many people that don't face the truth of their financial situation because they're so busy portraying an illusion to the world of what their financial situation is. There's a vulnerability in resilience. These two things work hand in hand. There's an opening up to allowing new possibility in. When we start to look at resilience as being about releasing and giving up, the thing that we can bring into this is the Serenity Prayer. Resilience is the Serenity Prayer in action. To remind you of the Serenity Prayer, it says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The mindset and attitude of somebody who embraces resilience lives within that prayer. Resilience, when we look at the skill of resilience, requires us to start noticing that as human beings, resilience requires capacity. When you look at the theory of resilience, we talk about accessing redundancy, excess energy, excess reserves, excess money, excess relationships. When we look at resilience, is when something goes wrong, I can access that which is available to me. I can access the extra energy I have. I can access my savings account. I can access my relationship database. We just think about this on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. We all have things that we do that fill us up and things that we do that drain us. The things that we do that we fill us up give us capacity to deal with the things that are unexpected. It's a little bit like an elastic band. We look at an elastic band and we talk about resilience being the ability to bounce back. It only requires we don't pull it so tight that it's going to snap. And when we have unhealthy resilience, we just keep pulling tighter and tighter and tighter. And then there's no slack. There's nothing to access. There's nothing we can do. And over time, it will break. So in order to become more resilient in your life, the important part is to embrace the idea of what do I do to create some capacity in my life? And that is what is challenging in COVID times. We're all stretched too thin. We need sleep. We need fun. We need laughter. We need relationships. We need to ask for help. We need to give up on things that aren't working. We need to start playing more and stressing less. In order to do that, we may need to change our habits and the way that we go through our day. Stressed people, tired people, exhausted people, at the end of their tether, do not make good decisions. Do not have anything to fall back on. So I encourage you to look at your life and notice, where do you need to stop something so that you can find space to build capacity in your life to deal with the chaos that is fact.